George H.W. Bush, the first President Bush, serves from 1989 to 1993. Like Reagan, he's a Republican, a conservative, and shortly after he's inaugurated, he has to face immediate foreign affairs issues. In 1989, Chinese troops opened fire on students demonstrating against the communist government. This is known as the Tiananmen Square Uprising. As a result, the United States and other nations immediately placed economic sanctions on China for approximately 1 year. The following year, we get involved in the Persian Gulf War, a.k.a. Desert Storm. Iraq had invaded Kuwait and then ignored United Nations orders to withdraw troops. So the United Nations forces, led by the United States, attacked Iran in January 1991. So UN forces, led by the United States, attacked Iraq in January 1991. During the 2 months of fighting, 100,000 Iraqis were killed. Very few Americans were killed, and the campaign was considered a success. As president, Bush has different feelings about immigration and encourages Congress to pass the Immigration Act of 1990. This limits immigration to 675,000 people a year. And the act was passed in response to concerns over immigration. Some claim immigrants work hard and energize the economy, as well as pay taxes. Others are worried that they take jobs from Americans. Under his conservative leadership, we see the formation of a moral majority. This is known as the New Right Coalition, a united group of Christian fundamentalists and other conservatives. Remember, when we talk about fundamentalists, we're talking about people who have very strict beliefs and very literal interpretations of the Bible. New federalism, which is transferring federal power back to the states, was popular under both Reagan and George H.W. Bush. One of the good things that Bush did was sign the Americans with Disabilities Act. This act covered a range of disabilities, including AIDS, mental illness, and physical difficulties. It required equal access to public transportation and facilities, and also outlawed job discrimination against disabled people. Bush's presidency really marked the end of the Cold War era. The implementation of the Strategic Defense Initiative, known as Star Wars, was crucial in getting the USSR to admit defeat in the Cold War. It was a missile defense system set up in space designed to repel any missiles shot in the direction of the United States. In the process of instituting the Strategic Defense Initiative, however, billions of dollars were spent on defense, and it made national and foreign debts soar under Reagan. In 1985, Mikhail Gorbachev became the new USSR premier. Gorbachev has a very liberal approach to life in the Soviet Union and encourages glasnost, which is openness or communicating. He also fosters perestroika, which is a restructuring of the economy and the society. This is a different approach from that of Khrushchev and other previous communist leaders. Gorbachev promptly met with Reagan to sign the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, which eliminated many medium-range nuclear missiles in Europe and the USSR. Then, in December of 1988, Gorbachev announced that Eastern Europe could no longer rely on the USSR for governance. Hungary and Poland immediately hold democratic elections. Czechoslovakia and Romania do the same. Shortly after, in 1989, the Berlin Wall is torn down, and East and West Germany are reunited. Then, in 1991, the Soviet Union broke up into 11 separate republics. William Clinton followed George H.W. Bush in the presidency, serving from 1993 to 2001. Clinton is a Democrat, so he represents a more liberal group. And one of the first things he did is sign the North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA. This was actually instituted under Bush, and Clinton continued it. And it promotes trade between the United States, Canada, and Mexico by eliminating tariffs and other trade barriers. It also helped improve relationships between the three countries, but critics have suggested that it has led to the loss of hundreds of thousands of American manufacturing jobs as manufacturing companies move overseas. Clinton and his supporters are called New Democrats. They embrace traditionally Republican fiscal responsibility, so conservative financial policies. But they have traditionally Democratic concerns for social programs like education. Clinton endorses the Family and Medical Leave Act, and that requires large companies to give employees 12 weeks of annual unpaid leave. He also cuts federal spending and increases taxes, reducing the deficit by half in his first term, and by the end of his second term, there had become a surplus. So he was one of the most financially successful presidents ever, especially in the modern era. Clinton also passed legislation to protect the environment, and he overhauled the welfare system. Lastly, he tried unsuccessfully to bring universal health care coverage to the United States. This was really the mission of Hillary Clinton, and it did not succeed under Clinton's presidency. That's it for this presentation. We'll cover the remaining presidents in our second presentation.